while your day is winding down. They're just getting started. This is South Coast Tonight with Chris McCarthy and Marcus Farrow. They've got you covered on all the news of the day, from local issues to politics on both sides of the aisle. This is the place where the movers and shakers come to be heard, to listen, and where they're held accountable. This is South Coast Tonight on WBSM.
Welcome. Okay, yeah, it's on.
Yep, there you go. Welcome back to the show. I'm Chris McCarthy. Of course, as always, Marcus Farrow here. Welcome to South Coast Tonight. Marcus, we have been talking about really the biggest story in the country, right?
Yeah.
Guys, we do a lot of off-air conversations and planning for the show, whether you can see it or not. We really do. DeSantis has succeeded in a way that nobody else has in quite a while, is that he got illegal immigration back on the front page, away from Fox News only. Primarily, Fox News has been covering it exclusively. MSNBC, CNN, the national news stories, national news agencies, the big newspapers, they primarily stayed away from it.
Yeah.
But DeSantis was able to, and I noticed tonight, Marcus, that not only is this a big story here in America, they've actually, in London, this story made a lot of news. Today they slipped the Queen a note saying, sorry, we're going to have to postpone your funeral. We've got 50 illegal aliens on the Vineyard. That bumps you off the news.
That's the more pressing matter now.
You're gone, sweetheart. That bumps you off the news.
I saw the king had a nice outfit today, though.
He's going to have a lot of nice outfits after this, right? A lot of nice outfits.
Being a 72-year-old intern and then finally getting your big break.
And you have to get.
I was an intern here. I didn't like it.
But your mom didn't have to die first, right?
Yeah, right.
The bad news is your mom's dead. The good news is you're the king, right?
Yeah, right.
So my mom died, and all I got was her used car. So anyway, that's terrible. But DeSantis was successful in even doing something that Donald Trump wasn't successful in doing, which is to get illegal immigration on his
he was able to he was able to deliver the narrative that he wanted to deliver, whether or not it was true. He was able to do it, and the response, although isn't necessarily the way that he said it is, he's able to frame it for people that are going to vote in the Republican primary, like, oh, see, they kicked him off the island, right? I mean, they sent him to, I think, a more comprehensive, a place where they can get more comprehensive services. But like, oh, see, they kicked him off the island. They found that one lady who gave him the soundbite that they needed too.
Right.
The lady says, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. We have no idea who that woman is.
Right.
Whether or not she agrees with Ron DeSantis, right? We don't know if she's a Democrat, Republican. We don't know what she does for a living. We don't know where she lives.
So
but all of a sudden they're like, oh, look what the natives are doing on the Vineyard.
Right. Anybody they can find they'll be willing to talk on a news camera is now an authority.
Yeah.
Right? Anyone who'll give a quote to the newspaper is an authority now, right?
Yep.
And you and I are in this business, so we understand. We were trying to report on it as the news broke Friday night. But the reality of it is a lot of fog of war here.
Yes.
And look, one of the things I was telling you about off the air, and I think I did mention it here on the air originally, when you look at the flight tracker, the original flight plans had the plane going to the North Shore, to Bedford, to Hanscom Air Force Base, and then it went to the Vineyard. It didn't land here on the mainland.
Well, Bedford's in the northern part of the state. It's a fairly wealthy town.
Yep.
In the north, not on the North Shore, but around there.
And it's a military base, Hanscom Air Force Base. So I would imagine going forward that if there are any planes that are going to be landing, they won't land on the Vineyard.
Yeah.
They'll tell them to land at the with illegal aliens
at Otis Air Force.
Air Force Base, right? The thing is, Marcus, I sent you a picture earlier. I was looking on the news accounts or people reporting from the joint base. I did notice that the soldiers, the National Guard that was called up for this duty. About 125 guys were called up. Kind of interesting, Mark. So I was in the military police here, the Mass National Guard. Very capable unit. But that unit right now that I was in is actually in the Middle East.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I know that Hank Turgeon's son, Nate, is in that unit. He's in the Middle East right now. But I noticed, Mark, as I sent you the picture, those soldiers have guns.
Yeah.
That's pretty unique, actually. They've got pistols. Nobody knows yet who those Venezuelans are. Not to say that they are a threat, but they haven't been screened yet.
You just don't know yet.
You don't know. So those military police, Mass National Guard, on the boat, on the base, have their weapons.
By the way, stay on the line. We're going to get to you in just a minute at 508-996-0500.
So I noticed that. I will tell you, in my experience in the Massachusetts National Guard, you don't often draw weapons, okay, unless you're training. Occasionally, when we would be doing what's called garrison police work, not combat work, we were doing, regular police type duty on the base, guarding points of entry, things like that. We would draw a handgun. But generally speaking, unless we were doing qualifying or training, we would not have weapons. So the fact that those National Guard soldiers down there have drawn handguns and are armed, a lot of guys, is I think unique and very interesting.
Speaking of your service, by the way,
yes, sir.
Someone called in yesterday and said that they were upset that it was just me on, that they wanted you on because you served like this caller, and that I don't have the heart to defend my country like you did or like he did.
That's entirely look. I appreciate that, but I had dialysis yesterday. And second of all, you go in the military when you're young. It's a decision you make when you're young. A lot of people look back and wish they had made it, but it doesn't make a difference if you didn't go in.
508-996-0500. Oh, I know. I just thought it was a funny thing to say.
I like that comment, though.
Good evening. You're live. Hello.
Hey, you're on there.
I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but it looks like there's aliens over Ukraine. They're saying our Russian Air Forces, and I think I know why.
All right.
Because at Pope John Paul's funeral, aliens paid respects at Vatican City.
Someone
rose into the sky.
What are you doing Monday at 10 a.m.?
What's that?
Give us a call back Monday, 10 a.m. I'll see you later. Have a good one.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
So I don't know.
Our surprise guest has arrived, by the way, and he'll be here after the next commercial break. And we're still taking your calls at 508-996-0500.
I'll give you a hint. He's wearing a sombrero.
He's not wearing a sombrero.
He speaks Spanish.
He does speak Spanish, but he's not wearing a sombrero. We could say he is. This is an auditory format.
Marcus.
He's wearing whatever we want him to wear. So, anyway, 508-996-0500 is how you can get on. We were talking about Ron DeSantis. We were talking about, the migrants on Martha's Vineyard. We've got our surprise guest coming up in just a few minutes. But, so Chris.
Yes.
Are there more planes coming?
I would say yes. I would say yes because DeSantis got his reaction. I would say that there's no way he can not be happy with the reaction he's gotten. He's got plenty of illegal aliens he doesn't want in his state, or Texas has them. They've got them. He's making his point, and I would say that now that Massachusetts is ready to handle them, it makes it even more reasonable to do it.
Yeah.
Because his point is Massachusetts wants illegal aliens. Massachusetts provides even driver's licenses to them.
Not yet.
And so the legislature has indicated, they will. But in other words, there's a climate here that doesn't exist in Florida.
I wonder how much this stunt will impact the vote on that. I think it would impact it positively for the people who want to uphold the law, because I think having Jeff Deal attached to this is, I think, another positive for the people that want to uphold the law, because he's a uniquely awful candidate, and I think he's one that got the signatures for it, and he's going to get crushed in November. He got you saw the Maura Healey has 52% in a poll. that came out.
Yes.
So I think having his name attached to it, I think is going to be definitely a positive.
How do I agree with you and disagree with you? Because I agree with you on the Deal angle. I don't think Deal adds a thing to it. I think
he impacts it negatively. His fingerprints are all over it.
But I do think it's going to pass because I do think people are going to reject the law. In other words, they're going to vote no on 4 because I think that most people are going to see this and listen to DeSantis' argument and say, hey, Massachusetts is rolling out the carpet for illegal aliens. We don't want them. You guys want them. You can have them. And so I do think that this is going to have an impact on that ballot question. But we'll see. The voters are finicky. It'll also, I do think that the ballot question, the proponents of illegal alien driver's licenses are going to have the most money behind them. That, I think, will have an impact on the question
but
as well.
I think, again, I still think attaching Deal's awfulness to it is going to... I think having him at the top of the ticket really helps every cause that the Democrats want. They want to elect Maura Healey. Great. Jeff Deal's the ticket to help him do that. They want to pass this driver's license bill. Great. Jeff Deal's the top ticket to help him do that. His polling has been so... I've never seen a gubernatorial polling this bad, like, in my lifetime.
So last night, I think
Jay Gonzalez might do better than Jeff Deal.
Which is incredible. The poor guy had to stand on a box to debate Charlie Baker, right? I mean, you remember that? It was really... the vigil was horrible. I felt bad for the guy because he's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. I talked to him, too.
And but I don't know if voters... how much they're going to even associate Deal with the ballot question, because Deal has no way to even get the juice going to say I'm part of the elite. I don't think Deal can't even discuss issues. And I don't think Maura Healey is going to come out in favor of illegal alien driver's licenses.
You know what's actually funny? She didn't make a single comment on this whole thing happening in the Vineyard, which is incredible. I mean, a gubernatorial candidate doesn't even make a single comment on it other than my office is working with, my office is, because she's the attorney general, my office is working on this, basically was her comment.
So she's very cautious, obviously. She doesn't want to...
She's playing, I keep saying it, she's up 2 scores in the 4th quarter.
Right.
She's running the ball.
Yep. So I don't think that she will make a comment, but so what I'm saying is I don't think she's going to come out in favor of question 4. I don't think Deal will have enough money to even talk about question 4.
Yeah.
Today I heard an ad on WBSM from the Republican Party.
I heard that one too.
That, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how much really are going to... I don't know how much money the no on 4 is even going to have.
508-996-0500. Let's go back to the phones before we have to take a break. Good evening. You're live.
Good evening. So last night I heard you saying something, Marcus, about, basically the stunt that you believe DeSantis pulled.
Yes.
And, and
it was a stunt. You don't think it was a legitimate,
No, I totally can agree that it was a stunt.
Okay.
But I would like to know what you think might have been a better thing for him to do. Because without, nobody is doing anything to help the governor.
I mean, these migrants, first of all, these migrants weren't even near him. They were in Texas, right? So he recruited them to come here. It's not like, oh, they were coming to Florida. They were coming to Florida, and so I sent it to go to Massachusetts. He sent people. He allocated $12 million for this to send people to another state to recruit people under false pretenses to fly them over here. So it's not like, what else could he do? He definitely didn't need to do that, right? And if he really if he was really serious about this being an issue and go to Massachusetts where they can welcome you, then why wouldn't he coordinate with us in the Commonwealth? Why wouldn't he coordinate with the state government to make that happen? Why would he just send them there? And I know he said, I know his spokesperson said, well, this is what happens when cartels, drop people at the border. We don't get noticed. Well, okay, fine. First of all, you're not a border state, so you don't know that. You don't actually have any experience with that at all. Second of all, now you're saying we're going to act like the governor of a state is going to act like the head of a drug cartel? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, what I'm saying is, so he didn't maybe have to gather up people from a different state, But what I'm saying is, who is coming to the rescue of the border states that are inundated? Because you were using words like morally depraved or he's just a bad person.
Yes.
But what I want to know is why you can't feel the same way when Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, whatever, takes people and ships them out, and they're like, we can't deal with this. Well, nobody else was prepared that got inundated either. So but you're rationalizing what they're doing, saying, oh, no, they're just sending them to where, there's help. Well, hello, I don't think that there's as much of a problem with the islands snapping together a problem overnight, a very small problem, and handling it. There are some empty hotels over there. There are people who voted for these types of policies who I can guarantee you, I know for a fact, have 90% of their home empty 90% of the year. So I'm saying, why can't they get it together?
Couple of points. Ron DeSantis will never send the plane to Nantucket because he goes there to fundraise. He did a $5,000 a head fundraiser there, like just a week before he pulled this stunt.
I'll bet that he sends him there next.
I guarantee he won't. He won't do that because he raised money there. But second of all, I understand that the federal government hasn't acted on this, but the difference between what people did in the Vineyard, which was, hey, you're here now, let's situate you for a day or two, give you food. They had food runs, they had meal runs. Salvation Army. We heard from City Councilor Brian Pereira that Salvation Army trucks were pulling up to Woods Hole to ferry stuff over for them, and then set up camp for them at an Air Force base where there's actual beds, right, and rooms and heating and all of that, and spaces to accommodate them, and a mess hall so people can eat there, right, instead of eating in a gym, right? That's a difference between that and then there's a difference between that and then tricking them, recruiting somebody to trick them.
Well, first of all, DeSantis isn't tricking them. Biden is, and the administration, who is not continuing to remain in Mexico until somebody in this country has a plan to accommodate these people. So I really don't understand how the same people who love these policies have extra room. I know literally people in my life, in my house, in my family, not in my home, but in my immediate family, and people that love these policies but have 4 and 5 empty bedrooms. Not one of them. So to me, until people are literally taking money out of their own pockets and physically figuring out a way to accommodate these people, there's no way I believe that it's not virtue signaling. Unless your home and everybody else's home that likes these ideas are not physically making space and making it available, they have no right to call other people evil because they're not going to burden their taxpayers and the system. I just can't believe that.
Well, yeah, no, I can call people evil for. I get your point about there's plenty of empty houses on the Vineyard that could absolutely accommodate them, and there's a broader point about excess of wealth and all of that. But you can absolutely call it. You can say that there should be more. Those people should be doing more, while also saying it's evil to recruit people under false pretenses and send them to a place that you're not going to send them to.
Is doing, and you're going to have to agree, or you don't have to agree, but then you're fooling yourself to say that that's not what the administration is doing. You don't say come and have no plan. That's what's cruel to these people.
Oh, I agree. The federal government hasn't acted. Yeah, they haven't acted on this. They haven't acted on this in 30. They haven't acted on this in at least 30 years. And when the last time they did act on it, it actually made the problem worse. I agree with you. I agree with you there.
Hey, thanks for the call.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Hey, listen, if you're on the line, stay on the line. I got to take this break, and we'll be right back. This is South Coast Tonight with Chris and Marcus, and our surprise guest coming up. Tonight, I'm Marcus.
I'm Chris.
Who are you?
Attorney Hugh Dunn. Do I need a headphone?
Oh yeah, you need a headphone.
You need a headphone.
You need a headphone.
You need a headphone jack.
Yep.
Jack.
I'll work on getting the headphone jack as well.
So we have a city councilor here as well.
Yeah, Ward 3 City Councilor Hugh Dunn. So we've talked about it's Law Guy Fridays here. We're bringing back Law Guy Fridays. Everybody, it's been in high demand, Law Guy Fridays. So when are you going to bring back the Law Guy on Fridays? And here he is,
the policy man.
So
The policy guy. It's actually Mr. Policy.
Mr. Policy, yeah. Your client got it wrong in their sterling review. You can't hear it.
No, I love the intro I get on the show. It's like
you get.
Is it? Can you hear now?
I can hear it now. Yeah.
So we're used to you being here. You've been sitting here for 10 minutes, so maybe we should tell the audience a little more. So City Councilor Hugh Dunn is here with us.
Ward 3 City Councilor Hugh Dunn has descended upon us from God's country.
New Bedford's favorite Irish immigrant.
New Bedford's favorite Irish immigrant, Hugh Dunn.
Documented, though.
Documented. How are you doing with the Queen dying?
Diving right in, huh, fellas?
So, Hugh,
Hey.
during you in the past have made some calls for
I'm out micked here.
That's true.
It's not a bad thing.
I'm out micked.
So
Was that like a bad term?
not to me. I don't.
No, I don't
I was
really
because
care.
I got it from The Departed,
Yeah.
and we were calling each other that.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
hope you
fine.
didn't pick up any terms from the boys in the hood.
Oh, God.
So yeah, we're a couple of harps.
What?
A couple of harps.
Couple of harps.
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 A harp. You know the instrument, a harp.
I know. I'm aware of the instrument.
Well, that's the flag. They used to in the Civil War. The
Right.
Irish fought under the harp, the flag. Anyway, so Hugh, how do you feel about the Ron DeSantis stunt and what? It's early right now, but what about New Bedford? It's right across.
What do you think the city's response should be? Because this is happening just off our shore. And
Right,
you're an
right.
elected official here. You're going to have to make a policy decision on this, or someone that is.
So the more I think about it, the sillier it seems. If I'm Ron DeSantis and I don't want immigrants coming into Florida, the last thing I do is kind of advertise, hey, you can have a couple weeks in Miami, then we're going to fly you out to Martha's Vineyard
Right.
for like a week or so.
Where do I sign up?
And then you get to land in like the intellectual capital of America with the best higher ed, the best resources, everything. So if I'm calling home, I'm saying, hey, land in Florida, they'll fly you up here for free.
Yeah.
You don't even have to trek across Kansas.
No,
right? Actually, Hugh, that's a pretty good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. So I don't
They
think
could end up just like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Land down here at UMass Dartmouth, get a
Brief stop in Attleboro.
world-class law degree at a affordable price.
Work for a congressman.
Yeah, it's not.
That's my second point. So I
Backwards
used
into
to.
a city council seat.
Yeah, right.
You used to work for you used to work for Congressman Keating.
Yep.
And so what kind of like in a situation like this? I don't know if you encountered that while you were working for him, but how would Congressman Keating have responded to this? I've talked to some people that work with him, but how would he responded to this?
Well, I think he's responded very appropriately, saying that that humans aren't cargo. That political points shouldn't be played with people's lives. These are people's children, people's mothers, people's sisters, brothers, fathers. They're actual people, and to just chuck them
People's potential girlfriends.
right? And just to chuck them across the country like that with no real planning to make some headlines is entirely inappropriate policy. So I think that New Bedford actually has a role to play in this because it's essentially right on our front doorstep.
Right.
And I could see a scenario where we step up. We have the moral high ground over Florida, 100%. And I see these kids. Why not put them in our schools? When we had a hurricane, was it Maria or Irma? I can't remember.
That really traumatized Puerto Rico.
Right.
I remember that. You did it here on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. And we called on the state to give us resources to allow them to come into our school system and be part of our community. New Bedford's a community of immigrants. It's what makes this community so rich and vibrant. So I think that, what is it, 50 people?
That's the thing. That's the thing about this this is nowhere near an insurmountable group of people.
So
this is a very easy group.
What you're saying is, and this is, I think, I'm going to put you on record as an official policy proposal, is at the very least, we should be here in New Bedford or in the South Coast should be at least accepting if there are any displaced children here.
Let's look out for those kids, 100%.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Hugh, given the fact that we do have limited housing needs, limited housing resources, and there are a lot of needs, would it be reasonable to say, hey, wait a second, maybe the New Bedford public school system can provide virtual classrooms for these kids? They don't have to move to New Bedford, but that while they're on the base, the city of New Bedford can provide them with English as a second language, things like that, virtually, right? As if there's a pandemic going on.
Right.
So you don't have to argue over the housing piece because you don't have it, but you could do the education piece virtually.
Right, and right now the state is flush with federal money, these surplus dollars. Let's call on the state, give us some money, and we'll help take care of these people.
So we're speaking with Ward 3 City Councillor Hugh Dunn, also of the Law Guys, Mr. Policy. They call you. Why do they call you Mr. Policy?
Because I always get the policy. I call the insurance company and I say I'm demanding the policy.
That means the full amount.
The full amount.
The full amount. That means what the insurance policy will max out at.
How does someone reach you if they do need a lawyer?
1-800-LAW-GUYS, or our website is 1-800-LAWGUYS.com.
Is that Law Guys? Is that with an S or a Z?
Did you go with a Z?
It should be a Z.
It should be a Z. It should be a Z.
So it's an S. And, I had maybe the best experience of my legal career today. I had a case, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but I got a very large settlement for a woman who lives in public housing. She was injured on the premises. They were negligent in
not our public housing.
No, different city. They're negligent in snow removal. She had broken bones. It was really bad. Single mom. I call her and I tell her what settlement I got her, and she starts crying. And she says, all I've ever wanted to do was move out of public housing. I'm going to take this money and I'm going to buy a home.
Fantastic.
Wow. It was amazing.
Right?
It made my
incredible.
day.
No, that is a nice story. That's what, look, again, when people get hurt, there's very few things you can do about it, but money is one thing.
Yep.
And money does fix most problems.
Yeah.
508-996-0500. We've got a few calls on the line. Let's take them. Good evening. You're live.
Hey, guys, I'd like to talk to the city councilor for 1 second, please.
Excellent.
Here he is.
Tom Kennedy.
Tom, how you doing? I was hoping you'd call in.
Yeah, I had a question that maybe you can get some clarification. I think it needs clarification for the public, and that has to do with the vote to accept the MBTA as a district. We've been told so far that the amount of money that we give over to the Southeastern regional district folks is there's going to be a portion that's taken away from what we contribute to CERTA. My question is, we give money, I think it's $1.2 million or whatever it is. Isn't that for everything, even for the Southeastern Regional Economic Plan folks? I mean, that money gets divided when it gets over there. So wouldn't the cost to the local Southeastern Regional Transit Authority be exceptionally minimal out of that $1.2 million? Or how is that broken up over there, and what it ultimately means for the local bus service? Because people that do take the bus are inquiring about it.
Yep.
And I'm thinking that it's got to be so minimal, it's going to be negligible in terms of their operation, if I'm correct.
So my understanding is that these are entirely separate funding mechanisms, that CERTA and all the regional transit authorities have their own line item in the budget, and there's always advocacy to increase that because I think it's necessary. I don't see that coming out of the MBTA vote, and but I do think that the MBTA vote is critical. It's we've been pining down here for South Coast Rail for decades, and now it's becoming a reality. And I can see them working on the station right next to my apartment building. It's actually like a really exciting thing for this area. I think it's going to, the investment that we make is going to pay off in dividends as far as the job creation, as far as what it does to make our properties more valuable, as far as, just everything that it'll do, allowing our residents to access employment in Boston and vice versa. So I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's a cost, but like the benefit outweighs the cost by far. But my understanding is those are separate funding.
And then the other part of his question was he asked about SERPED.
Yeah, I don't think
It's not. They're not the same. No, Tom, those are separate line items.
Yeah.
SERPED, which does the planning and economic development piece, is not connected to CERTA funding.
It's
separate.
It's worth noting. I talked to the head of transportation for Massachusetts, which is where Chris Dempsey. Well, I guess he might be working for them again now. But Chris Dempsey used to be the executive director. I like Chris. He's a good guy. But basically what the head of transportation for Massachusetts said was, even if like New Bedford were to shoot it down, the legislature is just going to pass it anyway because they've put too much money into this to say, oh well, they voted against it, so
right.
you're better off having United Front welcoming this development so that when people look at this area, they don't say, oh my God, what a bunch of cantankerous people. How could I ever invest or develop here?
I listened to that show, and Mr. Dempsey also said that the line item that we give for CERTA is only going to be a small percentage of that number. So we should have a number that we can talk about, whether it's like 100,000.
So I'll give you an example, Tom. I did a little research on this, and again, I don't have the full formula, but I can tell you that in Freetown, they're paying $36,000 a year, okay? Right now, even though they don't have service yet, they're paying $36,000 a year. And obviously the city of New Bedford's going to have more stations and be bigger, have a larger population, so their contribution will be more than $36,000. So that's the best number I can give you right now. The other thing is
but Chris Dempsey was saying, if it's like one, just for the sake of numbers for this conversation, if it's $1 million that we're giving CERTA, and the percentage that Mr. Dempsey was
It wasn't Chris Dempsey, by the way. It was his successor because Chris Dempsey was running for auditor.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. Well, the guy he was very good on that show.
Yes.
And he was basically saying it's going to be really negligible.
Right.
It isn't like the whole payment. It's a percentage of the payment. And I'm just trying to find out what that number is.
So one of the things I noticed, if you look at some of the spreadsheets of other towns, you look like what happens is, so if your town contributes, let's say, $100,000 to CERTA, and they got to contribute, let's say, $1 million to the MBTA district, you would subtract $1 million you're contributing to CERTA from the total amount of the new number. That's how they do it. So it doesn't cost you any more. CERTA still gets their money, but you don't pay as much to the MBTA.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
I could see some planning dollars going to SERPED on it. I mean, SERPED gets a lot of their funding from the Federal Economic Development Administration. They probably get some state funding as well, but they're like a subcontractor for the EDA. But I could see a scenario where we need their planning services.
Oh, for sure.
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, thanks for the call.
All right, up the Republic,
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
508-996-0500. Good evening. Hello.
If you have some communities that say, hey, we don't have the room, we don't have the funds to take, illegal immigrants, and you have some other communities that say, hey, everyone is welcome here. I just don't understand what the problem is to send them to the ones that say, hey, everyone's welcome here.
I agree with you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but the way that it was done, I think, was purposefully deceptive. And then there's an immigration attorney that's actually even alleging that they lied to them about where they
been sending them to Michigan and all these other places to kind of send them over there where they have large communities, and with the Muslim communities and Michigan is the same thing, or I don't understand the difference.
What about Michigan? I know they have large Muslim communities. I'm not sure what you mean, though.
Yeah, they sent a lot of them from the Muslim immigrants over to there.
Yeah, they're sending them there, yeah.
Yeah, because there's large Muslim communities there.
Like they're sending...
In Wisconsin. Minnesota as well.
Small in there in both.
The Biden administration has been landing planes in New York for years now.
Right.
Westchester Airport.
But I don't understand the difference.
I don't think there is a difference.
I think there's a difference in, like I said, purposefully deceiving people. You've got some feedback going on with your phone. Listen, hey, sir, you've got some feedback with your phone. With your phone, I don't know if that's because you have the radio on.
I'll fix that. So the difference is that you don't want them here in your backyard. It's more like a NIMBY type deal.
No, that's actually not what I said at all. No. What I said was no. There's
long
nothing.
As they're in Texas and the red states, that's fine. When it comes to the blue states, that's a problem.
No, I mean I've actually been very supportive throughout my the entire time I've been here of immigration, of a pathway to citizenship for people who are here undocumented, and specifically for I've been speaking very, very vehemently in favor of the law that gives undocumented immigrants driver's licenses here in the Commonwealth. So there has hold on, I'm talking now.
You have two of them camping by your pool.
There has literally been no point where I said don't send immigrants here.
Yeah, that was me.
That was you. Right. That was Chris. I've never said that. In fact, all of the policies that I've talked about and I've supported while I've been here for 4 years have been in favor of even finding a pathway to for undocumented immigrants here. On top of that, the very first show I did with Chris asked me if I thought undocumented immigrants should vote. And I said under certain circumstances like DACA, right, or something like that, I think people without a legal permanent residence here should be able to vote.
And then I was hospitalized for almost 2 years.
That keep on coming in. There's a new one.
Yeah, look, I think that what Ron DeSantis did in many ways was reckless, but I understood his point, and I think he had to do it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
If something had happened on the tarmac,
thanks for the call, man. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Hey, listen, I got to take this break. I see people on the line. If you're on the line, stay on the line. We'll be back. We'll be right back.
1420 W.
Hey, we're back. It's Chris McCarthy, Marcus Farrow, and our special guest tonight, Hugh Dunn,
the law guy.
The law guy,
Mr. Policy.
Mr. Policy, the Ward 3 City Councillor in New Bedford. He made an announcement today. He's calling for New Bedford to accept families, particularly accept children into the. Yeah, let's help these kids out. That 508-996-0500 is how you get in the program. Good evening. You're live.
Yeah. Good evening, Chris and Marcus.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Hugh. First, let me tell you this. I've heard the number 10,000 illegals that live in this city, and just in your Ward 3, Cogswell Street, North Front, Sawyer Street, Cushnet Avenue, Ashley Boulevard, just to name a few, and all the other streets in between. And we're paying $22,000 per student of illegals. Would you welcome them in your home? The illegals, would you put them up in your home and feed them and all that?
New Bedford is my home. I welcome them all day.
Yeah? How many do you have in your home now?
Oh, there's only space for me in my home, but...
Well, you and your dog?
Yeah, that dog is
Yeah, well,
is quite a handful.
You want the taxpayer of New Bedford to pay high taxes and pay for these illegal to be here,
who's
breaking the law.
Who's working all these jobs? Are you showing up and going out and scalping?
Who's working the what jobs? The fish houses?
Yeah. Are you doing it?
The fish the fish plants? What about the temp agencies? With fake names and Social Security numbers from deceased Americans. Are you looking into that?
No.
It sounds like something.
That sounds like a job for you.
Well,
yeah, look into it.
Then what are you doing in the city? You're not protecting us taxpayers.
I think that it'll be a negligible cost.
From 1 to 4 a.m., he does patrol the streets.
Yeah, which streets? Where?
I think
Brock Ave?
If you take the kids out of the 50 families, how much is that going to cost the taxpayers? I'm talking about helping these kids. And also, the state government has been very responsive when we've had these type of issues in the past.
Yeah.
The Baker administration stepped up and provided funding, so I don't think it's
going to cost the city taxpayers
to do
really
the right
anything.
thing.
Yeah, to do the right thing.
What about these tenement homes where you got people packed in sardines, renting out rooms, 10, 15 people in per floor? Are the New Bedford inspectors going into those buildings?
I agree that is a big problem. We had the Thanksgiving Day fire, which displaced so many people and families.
30 people.
And I think that New Bedford has to do a better job as far as developing new places to live. And actually on my committee, the next agenda, we have the Housing Development Incentive Program, which applies right now to only the downtown, and it allows developers to access up to $2 million in tax credits, as well as some tax exempt stuff to build new buildings and rehab buildings to provide housing. So I think that's a valid point, and that is on our agenda to expand that program citywide because everybody deserves a great place to live.
Yeah, we deserve, for what we're paying in taxes, we deserve a lot better, cleaner city, less crime.
I agree.
You know what? And I don't see it. I've lived here for a long, long time, and I'm telling you, this city's turning into a dump. And I'm telling you the truth.
All right, thanks for the call, sir. Appreciate it. We've got to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Here's what's happening this week on
Tonight. I'm Marcus.
I'm Chris.
I'm the policy guy.
The policy guy, Hugh Dunn, Ward 3 City Councilor, descending upon us from God's country. We've got about 20 seconds until the satellite kicks in. But in the next hour, we're going to be here. We're going to be taking your calls. Might have a little fun.
I think so.
It's Friday.
So. Yeah.
Let's have some fun.
508-996-0500.
We have fun here, don't we, folks?
Friday nights are always fun here, Marcus.
All right, so that's it. I'll see you guys at 9.